collect her accreditation in his hotel room. And then he pounced on her.
What?
And tried to smother her with his lips.
Oh.
Anyway, he's suspended.
Wow, this is embarrassing.
I don't even understand how.
His suspension is mild.
I don't even understand how they do these things. I don't even understand how, first of all, it was covered up to this level that they suspended him. But he must have had a history. I'm sure it's not only her report that got him to this point. I think it's her report that was the final straw.
Wow.
I was just like, why are you people, they give you small office.
Like,
only media officer. If you are now the CAF president, what will we be doing?
This is sad.
Anyway, that was the first hot gossip. But we'll be talking about other things and people that are not abusing their office on Locker Room. But you can join us via this medium.
Yes, indeed. The WhatsApp number is 0809 4440981. You can also tweet at Smooth981. And we're streaming live on YouTube. Hey, so just search for Smooth981 on YouTube, click subscribe, and you can catch the live stream. And yes, can we dive in?
Yes, let's dive in.
Okay, so Elena Rybakina and Aryna Sabalenka reached the Melbourne final. Novak Djokovic feels he has something extra at this year's tournament. Olympics 2024. Ukraine could boycott games if IOC planned for Russian and Belarusian athletes to go ahead. Benzema Vinica strike as Real fight back to sink Atletico. No. Guardiola braced for potential spat with old friend Arteta. Juve I Pogba Vlahovic. How do you pronounce that?
Vlahovic.
Russian names. These Eastern European names are not easy.
Yeah, exactly. So just say Eastern European. He's not Russian, but
okay, Eastern European. Vlahovic returns to spark chase for European spots. Wigan sacked Toure after 9 matches. Shocker. Newcastle midfielder Joe Linton fined for drink driving.
Yeah. So they eventually fined him and banned him for 12 months. Remember when he was celebrating a little too much. And they caught him on his way home, driving under the influence. So yeah, he's going to pay, and he's been banned for 12 months. So he'll have to get a driver.
He will.
In the UK.
Or he'll just use those ride-hailing apps.
No, I can guarantee he's not going to use the ride-hailing app.
Oh.
The guy bought a car to use ride-hailing apps.
Well, I mean, he's banned. What can he really do in this situation?
Sit in the back of his nice car while somebody drives him around. But yeah, so we'll be talking about
How
that.
old is Joe, by the way?
Huh?
How old is he?
Joe, I think he's in his mid-20s.
He's not that young. He should know better.
Oh, no. Oh, you think that all this bad behavior is...
You know, when people are young, they can make mistakes.
No. See, when people are young or when people have money that they didn't think that they will have, they also make this kind of silly mistakes. But yeah, let's go to Australia first and talk about the WTA. Yeah.
All right, so Wimbledon champion Elena has another shot at a major title after reaching the Australian Open final, and she'll meet the Belarusian 5th seed Aryna Sabalenka.
Yes. First of all, this is tennis. They don't mention if they're from Belarus or Russia. They just keep them under neutral flags. Don't mention where they're from. It's a tough one, but yes, Elena Rybakina won the Wimbledon title. Yeah, although in the year she won it, there were no points because the UK had banned Russian and Belarusian players from participating, so no points. Just the money that was given. She won that title, and after that, she just kind of went anonymous. Her tennis is beautiful. I mean, apart from the fact that she moves languidly across the court, but she has one of the biggest serves, one of the most effective first serves. Her forehand is great. Her court coverage is not bad, and then she's always putting the opponent on the run. Not very bad defense, but her tennis kind of died down after Wimbledon. And so I think she said this year she was going to show us that she was spectacular. I think the first moment people really started taking notes of her was when she knocked out Tega, the world #1. And yes, Tega didn't start the Australian Open in a fantastic way. She was struggling all through, managed to get use her quality to get I think to the quarterfinals before Rybakina said goodbye and God bless. So Rybakina is now in the finals after defeating Victoria Azarenka. Victoria Azarenka won in 2012 and 2013 and was hoping that because of the way her tennis has improved and her court movement has improved, she was going to try and win the title 10 years later. Rybakina said, no, Your
Not
time
today.
is gone. It's my time now. But she squares up against Sabalenka. Sabalenka has struggled with all the form she has. There was one time she was even world number two. She just hadn't played in the finals of a Grand Slam ever
Mm.
in singles. Doubles, she was fantastic, but she left doubles to focus on singles, and she hadn't played in a Grand Slam final ever. This is her first Grand Slam, always losing in the semi. So it was very exciting when she was able to knock out Magdalene, who had actually um, outperformed her imagination to get to the semi-final. So it sets up to be really interesting because both of them are big hitters. Both of them have big forehands. I think what I would give um, what I would give Rybakina advantage, or where I would give Rybakina advantage over Sabalenka is on the court coverage, so on the movement. So let's see how it pans out. Sabalenka can outpower you. Just one save,
Mm.
match over.
Wow. Okay, so let's go on to Novak Djokovic, who feels that he has something extra at this year's Australian Open as he prepares to do battle for a place in the Melbourne final. And he said, "I always try to give my best, particularly in Grand Slams, because at this stage of my career, those are the tournaments that count the most."
Yeah, but he went on to say that, especially that, but that this year he has a different drive, especially because of the injury. And you can see that I put apostrophe in that injury because of the injury and what happened last year. So he's still
Mm.
carrying over his bad behavior from last year. It's not like we told you to lie on your application. Um, although that's not the reason that I'm mentioning that he was left behind. But so yes, he has that extra oomph. He's trying to prove something, and I think that has been the bane of his career.
Mm.
Trying to prove he's the greatest tennis player of all time. Trying to prove he was better than Roger Federer. Trying to prove that he's the funniest man on court. Just trying to prove too much. Why don't you just live your life? Nobody's
That's
marking
true.
scripts, you know. But he's on court today. He's playing against Tommy Paul. I think, I mean, on head to head, looking at both their careers, he should absolutely blitz through Tommy Paul. But Tommy Paul again outperformed himself. He's in the final of a Grand Slam. The American, he's done great things. I think he spent a long time on court against Shelton, a fellow American, in the quarterfinal. So I don't know if he's been able to fill his tank. But for Novak Djokovic, you know that he can play 3 games and still have enough in the tank to run a marathon. So,
Mm.
so regardless of it, but he also, if he had a pretty much easy straight sets win over Andrei Rublev, which was shocking to me. I thought Rublev would push him a little bit and then he would defeat Rublev, but there was no competition. He completely blitzed through that in straight sets. So he's facing a barrier that both have had, and based on the quality of player that Novak Djokovic is, completely decimate Tommy Paul. But stranger things have been known to happen in Grand Slams. However, should Novak Djokovic get through this, he's going to face Stefanos Tsitsipas, who final against Karen Khachanov. Brilliant Australian Open so far, and did not spend too long on court. I mean, he did serve for the match and then lost that set, but he still managed to wrap up the match in good time. So Tsitsipas is awaiting whoever wins the match between Djokovic and Tommy Paul. I expect it to be Djokovic. So that would, for me, would be the match to look out for.
Saying that it could boycott the Olympics in Paris if Russian and Belarusian athletes are allowed to compete, I beg your pardon. Now, the IOC said it would explore a pathway for athletes from the two countries to take part as neutrals.
Yes, so
Mm.
they always do this thing because again, you have to understand that the IOC is a little bit like the United Nations. You know, they want to spread peace everywhere. And
Mm.
Ukraine is saying, you know what, somebody cannot be invading my country, and then we are going to compete in fairness and unity on the same tournament. It's a really tricky one, and I know people will say, you know what, this is sports.
Mm.
Politics shouldn't be involved in sports. I'm sorry, war is not politics. War is human rights violation. So it doesn't even, when people start saying, oh, they're doing this because of political reasons. No, once human beings start dying, it's no longer politics. It's now a human
Mm.
rights issue, or a human rights crisis, or a humanity crisis, whatever you want to put it. Don't say it's politics. So as much as you say this is sports, and politics should not be involved, war is not politics. So don't count it as that. So I understand absolutely where Ukraine is coming from. UK has also stood against this. They're saying it's a poor decision to get Russia and Belarus to compete in the same tournament. with Ukrainians, because now you're asking the athletes to show spirit of sportsmanship to people that came invaded their country and have put their country in this turmoil. So it's a tough one. I understand where Ukraine is coming from, and I understand where the Russian athletes are coming from, because Russian athletes are like, we didn't do this. This is not our decision. We're not the ones that invaded your country. In fact, we are trying not to let them invade your country, but there's not much we can do. I understand where both athletes is coming from, but it's a really dicey situation.
Will the same rule sort of apply to the whole Israeli and Palestinian situation?
It should. I mean, it should. I'm just saying this one. With the Israeli and Palestinian one, we came and met it. I don't even know when that. Sorry, that battle started from biblical years. So. Yeah, so you came and met that, but with the Russian one, it literally just started.
Right.
So it's the same situation, same thing like telling Iraq to compete with the US when there was an invasion, or saying Afghanistan,
it seems like sometimes there are double standards for certain countries.
It does look like that, especially when you say somebody has a weapon of mass destruction. Everybody like, you serves you right, but this one again, I don't understand what they invaded. So let me this is where I understand this Russian problem, and I digress a little. So you, Zibby, looked for my trouble, Tega. I now decided to beat Miriam. That's what this fight is, because it is US and Russia that has a problem. It's Ukraine that is suffering. Do you understand how?
It really makes no sense when you think about it.
When you think about it in that way, stop talking all this political jargon and they had to protect themselves. You mean they had to take over a sovereign country to protect them? How is that right? Miriam is looking at me.
Miriam, the third party in the war.
Miriam is the third party in the war. You see, two of us were discussing and Miriam's name came into it. That's what Ukraine is suffering. So I don't know how that's off. So I understand where they're both coming from. I don't know how the IOC is going to resolve this issue. But it will be sad for Ukraine to pull out of the Olympics because
and
of
some
that.
might say it will also be sad for those athletes from Russia
and
Belarus who've trained their entire lives.
Think about it. Victoria Zakharova was saying these things still concern us. Why are you asking me? But you can't help ask that question. You're from that country that helped invade another country. You are the ambassador of that country, whether you like it or not. You wave their flag, so it's a tricky situation.
Got some messages coming through. Yeah. Nasir says, no, Israel and Palestine is the same as Russia and Ukraine. Invasion is invasion.
We didn't say it was different. I said we met it. So Nasir, listen, don't hear to respond. Hear to understand.
Tayo says Ukrainians are about to participate as neutrals because after training, some political leaders are asking its citizens to not contest as if their age would remain static.
All right. I understand where Tayo is coming from. He said age will not remain static. I know. Because it's unfair to say Russian athletes shouldn't compete. It's unfair to say Belarusian athletes shouldn't compete. And it's also unfair to say Ukraine athletes should compete. So look, you know what? Look.
But the way it's going, one of those groups, or at least two of those groups, will be competing.
I think at the end of the day, because the Russians will say, the IOC would say they should compete under neutral flags. So they should. So you just see that they will not play the national anthems of both countries, and they won't have their flags. Wow. But the athletes will compete, and I think that's fair.
That does take away a lot of the pride and glory of competing for your country and possibly winning.
Well, if I'm winning gold, I don't care about the national anthem. They're not taking my gold, are they? I'm still going to stand on the highest step, right? And I'm going to collect my gold, and history record that I won the gold medal. Good night and good luck. Everything else.
Let's take a break and we'll continue the conversation right here in the locker room. Do stay with us.
That's how you say. Who cares about pride?
Putin will be like, oh, so you went to go and compete with no flag. You're not start hunting for them and their families. Let me have to say.
But you know that some of these people, they're just like, I don't even want to be Russian outside.
Like, take it out.
Yeah, because
use that as an opportunity to actually escape.
Yeah, because the drama is too much. Just think about it. Because I'm sure some of them are not even in support of this invasion. A lot of them are not in support.
They were really protesting.
Yeah, they're not in support of the invasion, but What can they do?
Yes, stop.
Who cares about national
what is
anthem? My
so
friend gave my gold
stupid?
medal. So I think at the end of the day, it's Ukraine that will not participate.
Yeah.
Um,
Then I
oh.
do feel like Ukrainians are twisting people's hands, like you must speak inside, you must
Because
speak
you
inside.
understand, because they are struggling. You know how it is when somebody's beating you. You're like, look, oh, they are beating.
Help me.
Help me! They
And
are
everybody
beating
else
me.
is like,
And everybody else is like, I beg, I'm going to
I
the
can't
market.
see exactly. Like I can't get involved.
Yeah. So,
Oh my
so you have
days.
to do that. I don't
War
know.
is stupid.
So that's exactly what it is. War is just stupid. So ultimately, it's sad. It's sad.
It is.
It's really sad. But hey, you can't tell the athletes not to compete. That will even
Like
go.
that's
That just
crazy.
even goes against the credence of the IOC,
Yep.
because they use the sports as a platform
Fire.
to unify
Yeah.
people, and then now you're saying they should. They're just like, we didn't do this. Somebody asked Victoria Azareka the question. She's just like, what do you want me to say? And I totally understood. They've been asking her this question.
And she
You
also
know,
has to be very careful about
yeah.
whatever she
She's
says.
like, what do you want me to say?
She'll give you textbook answer.
But, I mean, she lives in the US. She's lived in the US a while. You know, a lot of these athletes don't even live in Belarus or Russia. So what do you want her to say? What do you want me to say? If I say it's wrong, I still have family at home.
Exactly.
If I say it's right,
Oh my
I live in the
days.
US. What are you saying? What do you want me to say?
Like I think they need to stop asking people questions
When I
that
heard
people
her answer
can't
yesterday,
really
I was
give
just
an
like,
honest answer.
yeah, that was the perfect answer. She said, if we're making this thing, if we're dragging us into things that do not concern us, what do you want me to say? It's not like she can influence what her president did.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
If we could.
yeah, if Putin had asked her whether they should pass through Belarus together, she'd probably be like, no. But her president agreed. But what do you want her to say?
Before the poor girl's family start getting missing one by one.
I better go.
You're in the locker room on Smooth 98.1, Zibby and Tega. And yes, we are looking at the sports stories. Also streaming live on YouTube, by the way. So hello, YouTube. Smooth 981 on YouTube. The WhatsApp number 0809 444 981. And are we going to open the phone lines today?
Let's think about it.
Okay.
When I see many WhatsApp messages, I'll open the phone lines.
All right. Okay, so Karim Benzema and Vinicius scored in extra time as Real Madrid fought back to beat local rivals Atletico 3-1 yesterday to reach the Copa del Rey semi-finals.
Wickedness in high places. So Atletico Madrid scored early in the first half. They were leading all through till towards the end of the match. Then Rodrigo equalized. Like Real Madrid does this thing every time they meet Atletico Madrid. They just give them small hope. And then when Atletico Madrid thinks, oh yes, this is a day of emancipation, they pull the rug from underneath their feet. So they equalized in about 90, I think it was the 89th or 90th minute, took the match to extra time, and then they scored 2 goals in extra time to win that match by 3-1. So yes, they're now in the semis. Barcelona also made it through to the semis the day before by winning Real Sociedad by 1-0. That was equally a tough one. But for Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid, this one is going to be harsh because it's like there's nowhere to run. You know, in Madrid, Real Madrid is a club. On the pitch in La Liga, Real Madrid is a club. In the UEFA Champions League, Real Madrid is the club. And now in the Copa del Rey that they're trying to manage, Real Madrid is still the club. So tough one. But that leads us into an interesting La Liga weekend. Real Madrid take on Real Sociedad. That's a tough one because Real Sociedad, prior to losing to Barcelona in the Copa del Rey on Wednesday night, they'd been on a good form of 7-match unbeaten run. So let's see how they carry that form over into La Liga. Barcelona travel to Girona. That's another tight one because they just played on Wednesday and now they have to travel to play another game. Let's see if they can hold their spot at the top of the table. But yeah, really interesting one for Atletico.
Can I ask, how did my baby, Mr. Simeone, take this?
Not well. I guess he's used to the beating by now. I don't know what else to say. It couldn't have been shocking to him. He's lost one time too many to be shocked about this.
Oh, wicked, wicked, wicked. All right, so let's go to England now. Manchester City boss Pep Guardiola admits that he could end up in a touchline row with Arsenal manager Mikel Arteta, and this is despite the pair's close friendships. Now, they're both meeting in the FA Cup fourth round in Manchester today.
I think he should focus on the focus. Focus on what they do on the pitch and leave what you and Mikel Arteta will be doing on the sidelines, because that's not of any consequence to progressing in the FA Cup. Now, it's really interesting. Manchester City would want to win this one, especially as we're knocked out of the Carabao Cup by Southampton of all teams, and knocked out scandalously by scandalous scoreline. So now they'll be looking to the FA Cup to see if they can hold on to something there, because in the Premier League they are 5 points behind Arsenal, and it's not looking like it's going to get easier. Yes, I know that Manchester City will face Arsenal twice, but there are no guarantees that 6 points are in the bag for them. So win the game at hand, and the game at hand is today's FA Cup match, Arsenal versus Manchester City. Now, Arsenal has done very well, and they're not bad in cup competitions, so I expect them to put their best foot forward. And knowing that this is Manchester City, of course, Mikel Arteta is going to put out a very solid lineup to see how he can progress in this. If you ask me, though, if I were Mikel Arteta, my focus will be on Premier League, but nothing is guaranteed, so you have to gamble both ways. So I'm guessing he's going to put out a strong lineup to try and see if he can knock Manchester City out and still stay in the FA Cup, so that all hope is not lost. But Manchester City also have a lot to play for. So I think Pep Guardiola should just ignore the sidelines, focus on what happens on the pitch.
That's what counts.
Okay, let's take one more story and then we'll read some messages.
All right, now Juventus eye Pogba Vlahovic and return to spark chase for European spot. Now, okay.
Yeah. So yes, Juventus, and they're suffering. So remember that they deducted 15 points from them because of that financial scandal. And so now their ambition has changed. Before they're saying let's try and fight for the Scudetto. Now their ambition has changed. Let's try and get to Europe, any part of Europe. Conference League, Europa, or Champions League. Let's just get to Europe, because they need the money. Remember that teams are struggling and clubs are struggling financially. So if they're participating in this competition and if they go further, they make more money. So Europe is the goal for them. And this weekend gives them another opportunity to play Europe. Good news for them is that they have Vlahovic coming back from injury. He came into their team and he was scoring goals per second. Every 2 market days, he will score 1 goal just for good measure. And they missed that because they needed those goals, especially against Atalanta, where they managed to salvage a draw after going behind twice in that match. Pogba hasn't played since he moved. So they're like, we're paying you salary to stay in the hospital. We need you now. So I'm sure they'll be happy that they'll have his services on pitch. At the end of the day, towards the end of this season, they need to get as many points as possible. And if they get all their top players back in form and back in full fitness, then it guarantees that at least they'll be able to salvage points. But the biggest match in Italian Serie A this weekend does not involve Juventus. It actually involves Napoli taking on Roma. So happy birthday, shout out to Jose Mourinho. He turned 60 yesterday. Yes, the special one, the one and only special one. Turned 60 yesterday, but hopefully Roma will be able to give him a birthday present. Unfortunately, the way Napoli plays, the way they're scoring goals, the way they move the ball, in fact they play the most beautiful, the most effective, and the most result-oriented football right now in Italy. I don't know that Roma have the defense to stop Napoli from scoring. So let's see if they'll play Robert up on the day and try to survive. But yeah, the biggest match this weekend is Napoli taking on Roma.
All right, and back to England. Former Arsenal and Manchester City defender Kolo Toure has been sacked by Wigan.
You're right. So yes, so Kolo Toure was hired in November.
Wait, this November?
And the one
that's
that
just
passed,
2 days ago.
And 2 days ago, 2 market days ago. They hired him, but he has not won in 9 matches. In fact, he had 2 draws in the last 7 matches. So, and they are at the bottom of the table, and 4 points from safety. So the management said, let's not wait till tomorrow to do what we can do today. And so immediately,
Wow.
as we are looking at you, come and be going.
Oh, wow.
I would say this though. You have to understand, Wigan has hired 5 managers in the last 3 years. So the problem cannot be Kolo Toure.
Mm.
At least it cannot be manager alone.
Mm.
If you run through 5 managers in the last 3 years. But at the end of the day, like I always say, they can't sack 22 players. They can sack one manager.
Someone has to take the fall.
So exactly. And so the buck stops at your desk. So you have to survive. So now they're looking for another manager to add to the number of managers they've already fired.
Wow.
Because they really want to stay in the championship. So I'd say this not a good start to his career for Kolo Toure. But not a flattering start at all. But he can take solace in the fact that he's not the only one. Even if his own was only 59 days.
This is like a relationship. It's not me, it's you.
It's you. Yeah. It has to be Wigan. It cannot be him. All right, let's take some messages.
Okay, on our YouTube live stream, Ernest says Arsenal should sacrifice the FA to Man City and focus on Premier League and Europa League. This is Arsenal's first meeting with Man City. Happy birthday to the special one, Jose Ebuka Mourinho.
Nabil Ebuka Mourinho. Big E from Keto says, Tega, good morning. The way Chelsea is just signing players is over the roof. We might wake up one morning and hear that and hear from Fabrizio that Tega has been signed to Chelsea. Amen. Oh, amen. Anyway, I hope my elephant on the league table will beat Man City in the FA Cup. And FN okay, Chooks says Penaldo and his Saudi team lost yesterday. I think he's talking about Cristiano Ronaldo. His team got knocked out yesterday of competition. So that's another one. Tayo says Kolo Toure should be the assistant to the manager and not the assistant manager in his next employment. People need to calm down now. Like I said, he's not the only one. There were 5 of them that have been fired. So he's not the only one.
All right, let's look at Newcastle midfielder Joe Linton, who was caught drink driving.
All right, so we had spoken about him earlier. In the show, yeah, fortunately for him, I think the good news he will have this week was on Tuesday. He scored a goal in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup, the only goal that gave Newcastle the advantage in that tie. So I think that's his consolation. Apart from that, yeah.
So he went out to celebrate a bit too much.
No. He had celebrated from the other win. So this he was waiting for this ruling.
Oh, okay.
So he scored out the second goal to make himself feel better. So that nice car parked in his garage, somebody else will be driving it. Can you imagine?
At least he can sit in it and admire it.
You know,
and I paid for
it.
All right. So on YouTube, Ibukun says Wigan should employ Lampard or Gerrard so that the sacking can continue.
You know, as they like to sack people, if they employ Gerrard, he may help their condition. Lampard, employ Lampard.
Oh, okay. Well, that is all the time that we have for the locker room this morning. Thank you for listening. Thank you, Tega. Do stay here with us. There's a lot more to come on a smooth breakfast.
Do stay here, oh. If you like, don't stay. Aww, see my people.
So unfair.
Say goodbye and God bless.
Goodbye. God bless.